Well, hey everyone, Bill Sheridan with the Maryland Association of CPAs. Time now for part two of our interview with Zappos culture guide John Wolske. I had a chance to tour the Zappos headquarters in Las Vegas recently with a few MACPA colleagues, and after the tour we sat down with John and talked with him about the Zappos culture and its terrific customer service. In part two, John starts out by talking about how Zappos stays productive in a fun and flexible work environment. Here's John.
In our area, we're talking about CPA firms, which are very disciplined, and they're scared to death to lose control. How do you maintain control and performance in a really flexible, fun environment?
Sure. We actually have increased productivity, even though we have reduced stats and measurements. So let's just say that CPA X comes into work for 8 hours, and he's working on something, and maybe he's stuck or his mind just doesn't want to do it, but he knows if he gets up from his desk, his boss is going to be like, whoa, 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 what's going on? So what happens is he sits there looking like he's working for a long time without actually doing anything. People are really good at looking like they're working. I'm really good at looking like I'm working. No. But what we found then is if you give that person the freedom to get away from his desk because he needs to, something in his brain just needs to get away, let him go play Bop It, grab a coffee, talk to a friend, just a couple of minutes. It really doesn't take a lot of time compared to all the time he's going to waste. When he comes back down and sits at his desk, he's going to be really productive because he got what he needed. He got that, I'm going to get my brain away from this for a second. So without measuring performance, without cracking the whip as a lot of companies do, we actually end up with increased productivity because you have freedom. So it's kind of like the kids with the cookies. The kid finds the cookie jar and then you make him eat the whole thing.
I'll try.
The next day he doesn't eat he doesn't want a cookie, right? So here in that 4-week training, you get the fun and little weird side of it. You get the history and culture perspective. You also get that out of your system. You really know, wow, I'm really here to get this work done without anybody cracking that whip. I know, first of all, not that we use a scare tactic, but once you got the job, who wants to leave? You know what I mean? So it's built in too. I want to do a great job because this is a company that's going to take care of me. I should give back and take care of them. We do measure performance, and different groups measure it differently. So development, obviously, they've got code that needs to be written and things like this. So there's a different set of performance standards there, but they still have that freedom built in. They still have the freedom to take some time away to get whatever they need so that they can really produce good material and not feel too stressed.
Can I follow on
yeah.
on his question, which is the hardest people to manage sometimes are the ones that are trying really hard and are kind of committed but just aren't getting it. That you're kind of working with them and they're nice people and everything, but that if you put a star performer in that job, that productivity of the whole team would go up. So how do you handle situations like that?
We try to coach up, and when you can't coach up, you might have to coach out. So in that case, it's just a matter of they might not be in the right role. I mean, we're pretty good at finding folks and saying, hey, if this isn't you, because it's not getting done, your heart is in it, that's great, but maybe we can bring somebody else on to help you out on the team. Or maybe there's a different spot that would work better for you just in general. Just a different position altogether. So we're pretty good at spotting what people, I think, would be pretty good at. Because when you're good at something, you do it better. And then you're happier doing it. So it's like a big cyclical thing where I'm in the job that I'm supposed to be in, so it's no problem for me just to come in and just get work done. So, but then in the case of if it's performance-based, you're just not getting the work done, and we've asked you a few times, hey, here's the situation. It may just be a matter of we've given you some chances to correct it, and unfortunately we're going to have to let you go. And so we are relatively slow to hire, but quick to fire. So we give you some chances. Obviously, it's not the first time it happens, you're gone, but if you aren't willing to or able to correct, you're not doing yourself any favors. Obviously, you're not doing us any favors. So we would just leave at that point.
My other question on that, too, is reading a little bit of Tony's book and just the feel of the place, it could be very all-consuming. It feels good to be here, it's exciting, and you're getting a lot of feedback and, positive feelings about being here. And as the company's grown over the last 10 years, I'm sort of wondering how, I get this sense from reading the book that you're kind of all in. Maybe it's Tony that's all in,
We're all in,
working all the time, and how do you you guys handle sort of work-life balance as things have gotten maybe more mature? You know, you still have some pretty big stretch goals, but you know, you don't want to burn people out because you spent a lot of time sort of getting them into the culture and they're part of the family. So how do you manage that?
Well, a lot of it has to do with going back to the freedom too. You can be here long hours and it doesn't feel like 12 hours in a regular company because, you know, you've had that time when you need it to do what you do. But then also when it comes to work-life balance, we really encourage the relationships, the activities and things to go well beyond the walls of the office. So Donovan and I will hang out sometimes.
That's on camera.
I know it is.
That's that YouTube, baby.
Yeah, that's right. Take two. No, so Donovan and I will hang out. Our families will get together on Sunday afternoons for dinner sometimes, and it's not because the job told us to. It's because we've really become great friends. You know, peer-to-peer, manager to employee. But we really encourage that. So the work-life balance doesn't become such an issue because I'm friends with the people that I'm here with. They're not my work friends. They're my friends. You know, they really are, like I said, the extension of my family. So I'm not coming into, oh, these guys again. You know, I really look forward to hanging out with my family, my friends. So.
What is your attrition rate?
I don't know the actual number, like to break it down by department, but if you looked at each department, they would be categorically lower than, or very much lower than industry standards. So fulfillment is usually pretty high in the attrition area. CLT, the customer loyalty team aspect, is usually pretty high, and we're well below those industry standards.
What's your? Oh, sorry, Cora.
Well, we're kind of developing a culture team at this point. That we've always had a really good culture. It's just improving it and taking that extra step, I think. But we've kind of developed. We call ourselves a culture club, but we've taken to getting suggestions from members of the team, and we're a much smaller group. There's only about 35 of us. Do you have a way of sifting that? Do you have a way of? Does someone look at that and say this will work and that won't work? And how do you say no but not say no?
So I think a lot of it has to do with just the overall approach too. Like if you're given an idea and it just really isn't in line with who you are, what you want to do, obviously you could just point out how it's not in line. But we do let people try a lot of things. So we invest a little bit into that idea, and then we're very quick to just same thing with hiring really. So we'll take on your idea, let's give it a shot. But if we find that it's not working, we're gonna can it and just cut our losses and learn from it. And really the most important thing there is that we're just willing to learn from those things. So if you have an idea and you're really serious about it, and you really approach somebody with it, you're probably going to get the answer of, cool, what do we need? What do you need to make that happen? So we really let people try out different things, different ideas, and at the very least you'll learn a lesson from it, which will help you grow too.
So that kind of my question was actually, how are you bringing new stuff in, you know, as opposed to just relying on Tony to set the values or to be out, you know, on the road and bringing things in. So that kind of answered that, but you said we and somebody, so like really, like functionally, who do those kinds of ideas go to? You know, who's charged with maintaining the culture of Zappos while allowing it to evolve?
We all are. So there's no one team that's in charge of the culture. There's no one, you know, one culture police, you know, but there is 1,057 people here who all know that it's part of their role to police the culture. So if Marie made a comment about Canadians, and I'm Canadian, and it offended me. Steak and Canadians, that's right. We like our donuts. No, you know, if it offended me, it's really my job to let her know. Not to run to HR and go, oh my gosh, she's talking crap about Canadians. But to say, hey Marie, when you made that comment about Canadians the other day, it really offended me. Because she might not realize why it would.
So let me reframe it a little bit. I got, you know, in terms of maintaining what you already have, but I was actually thinking more in terms of allowing the culture to evolve, but not haphazardly. And so when do you, like you said, I could bring in my idea and say, hey John, I want to try this out. And it's something that's going to impact the whole company, not just my team. Mm-hmm. You must have to go to somebody or get some sort of group of people to say, yeah, that's okay if we're going to make it company-wide.
Not really. I mean, as long as it's we've got legal entity compliance because we have 10 different entities. But as long as it's not going to do anything against legal entity compliance, then it can be a team that got the go-ahead from a manager, and then just send an email to everybody and say, hey guys, here's what we're going to do.
And you seek feedback, and then the same thing, like anybody could kill it with whatever the rationale.
Well, they just let you know. Here was the intention, and it's just not doing it. As obviously, you can't just say that it's not doing it. It would have to be shown that it's not doing it. But yeah.
Right. And the other question I had was, it struck me as I was walking around looking at all the different areas and how they were done up, how, really polar opposite that is from a typical corporate environment where you either have nothing allowed in your cubicle, right, because somebody could put something offensive.
Right.
But because you guys are putting so much effort into the front end of the hiring, you really are hiring a group of people that, even though they're diverse, have a clear, common enough set of values, and then through the training really understand what that means in action. But was there some sort of a point in which, like maybe it was that 2005 point, some kind of a, it's like a chicken or egg kind of a thing, right? It seems like there had to have been a point in which those were really encapsulated, and then there are some people that just kind of drift away, and then what you're left with is that solid core, and now you can kind of attract to it.
A lot of, when they asked everybody what the values were, obviously there weren't a lot of outliers really. Because, you look at the core values, and out of that came from all the people in the company. You can't really look at any of those and go, well, that's stupid. You know what I mean? Like, they're all just really good things as a human being. Somebody could. I don't really think anybody did. I think the majority of the response was, wow, that's cool. This really does look like who we are. This really does look like who I want to be associated with. So like I said,
from the beginning, there was something that people were gravitating towards already. That the example I'm thinking of is I was involved with a school. It was a small private school, community school in California, and there was a point at which they were very close to the bankruptcy. A new group bought it, family, and said, here's what this is going to be about. And there was this percentage of the school community that said, we're not on board for that.
That's because somebody else came in and imposed their culture, though.
Well, they were a member of the school community, the family was. But I think there was already some derision in the school community, which is how they ended up almost bankrupt in the first place. But I saw that there was probably a 2-year transition in which you had to wait for the naysayers to kind of opt out on their own and just stay true to those kind of core values going forward. So, but it sounds to me like, from your description of it, that there was that solid core to begin with.
And I'm pretty sure, because it was 2005 when the email went out, it was February 14th of 2006 when it was all done. These are our 10. And I'm pretty sure the email said, this is who we are, this is who you said we are, and if you don't feel that it really is who you are, then you'd probably be given an option to leave. Like I said, I don't think there were many people that took that. Since 30 that came in 2004, 30 out of 70 that came in 2004 are still here. That's just my assumption. I really don't know because I wasn't here at that time.
It's a remarkable story in that regard.
I wish I found them in 2004 because I was in Vegas working in a really bad call center.
Yeah. Well, part 2 will be how you double your workforce and hold that. And does Kentucky have the same?
It's the same core values and culture. It does look a little different. So the thing that I like to say, if you do have field offices and things, is you have to allow it to look different. Because the people in Kentucky obviously are different from the people in Vegas.
Do they go through the same training, that same 4 weeks?
They come, not everybody, but we try to get most of them through for the first 2 weeks of a training class to get the culture and history perspectives, and then get them plugged in to see what everybody else does in the family. We also have an option for people from Vegas to go and work for a week at the warehouse. Really get your hands on them, really see what they do in Kentucky, and they work super hard for our customer experience in a physical way, whereas we work more in problem solving and talking on the phone all day type of way.